to do Zazen. This is from Uchiyama Roshi's book Approach to Zen. First, the room where you do Zazen should be as quiet as possible. It should be neither too light or too dark, warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Take care not to let wind and smoke get in and keep it neat and clean. In other words, try to create a settled and peaceful environment where you can always sit. It's also a good idea to shrine a Buddha image, have an offering of flowers, and burn incense. A Buddha image represents the tranquility of Zazen and is an artistic expression of the compassion and wisdom of Zazen. We do Zazen and pay respect to the place where we sit. This is why we bow when we enter the Zendo. We should always remember to take care of the environment which helps us do Zazen. How to sit. Place a cushion about 1 square meter facing a wall and then put a zafu on top of this. Sit down on the zafu and fold your legs. You should cross your legs by putting the right foot on the left thigh and then the left foot on the right thigh. This is called the full lotus posture. If you can't fold your legs like this, you can just put the left foot on the right thigh. This is called the half lotus posture. Don't sit in the middle of the zafu. The zafu should be in the back of the place where your legs cross, and your knees should be firmly down on the cushion. The weight of the upper part of the body should be distributed on 3 points: your knees on the cushion and your buttocks on the zafu. Sit up and straighten your back as if you were pushing your buttocks firmly into the cushion. Keep your neck straight and pull in your chin. Without leaving an air pocket inside, close your mouth and put your tongue firmly against the upper palate. Project your head as if it were going to pierce the ceiling. Relax your shoulders. Put your right hand on top of your left foot and put your left hand in the palm of the right. Your thumbs should meet above your hands. Your ears should be in line with your shoulders and your nose in line with your navel. Keep your eyes open as usual. Look at the wall and drop your line of vision slightly. Once you've taken the Zazen position, open your mouth and exhale deeply. By doing this, you change your whole mood. In order to work out the stiffness in the joints and muscles, slowly swing 2 or 3 times to the left and right. Now you take the immovable posture. Once you've taken the immovable posture, breathe quietly through the nose. The important thing is to let long breaths be long and short breaths be short. You should breathe as naturally as possible from the tandem, about 1 inch below the navel. Don't make noise by breathing heavily. Everything, the trunk, back, neck, and head is straight when you sit Zazen. Because your abdomen is comfortably resting on solidly folded legs, blood leaves the head and circulates plentifully towards the abdomen. Because blood circulates downward from the head, there is no congestion, excitability is lessened, and you can no longer chase after fantasies and delusions. Doing correct Zazen means taking the correct posture and leaving everything up to it. It's easy to tell someone to aim at the correct posture with his flesh and bones and leave everything up to this, but it's actually not so simple to do. If, even while you are in your position, you continue your thoughts, you are thinking and no longer doing Zazen. Or, if you fall asleep while in the position, you're simply sleeping and no longer doing Zazen. It is not thinking, nor is it sleeping, rather, it must be to aim at holding a living and vital Zazen posture. If you become sleepy while doing Zazen, your energy becomes dissipated and your body becomes limp. If you pursue your thoughts, your posture will become stiff. It is neither being limp and lifeless, nor is it being stiff. Rather, it ought to be full of life and energy. The life force should be neither stagnant nor too rigid. The most important thing is that the life force lives to its fullest potential. Zazen is the most condensed form of life, being just wide-awake life. It puts this life into the most direct and pure practice. This is the most important thing in life, but, although it's easy to talk about, it's very difficult to do. We shouldn't be sleeping, nor should we be caught up in our own thoughts. Rather, we should be wide awake and aim at the correct posture with our flesh and bones. But can we ever attain this? Is there such a thing as succeeding or hitting the mark? Here is why Zazen is unique. Here we must vividly aim at holding the correct posture, but we should never hit the mark. Or at any rate, the person who is doing Zazen should never perceive whether he hit the mark or not. If the person who's doing Zazen thinks, my Zazen is really getting good, or I've hit the mark in my Zazen, he is only thinking his Zazen is good, while actually he's become separated from the reality of his Zazen. Therefore, we must always aim doing correct Zazen, but we shouldn't perceive whether we've hit the mark or not. Zazen is the throwing away of the calculating way of thinking, which poses that as long as there's an aim, there must be a target to hit. You just sit in the midst of the contradiction where, although you aim, you absolutely cannot succeed in hitting the mark. You sit in the midst of a contradiction, which is absolutely ridiculous when you think about it with your small mind. However, when you do this kind of meditation and just sit, how indefinite you may feel. How unsatisfied or completely lost you may feel. But actually, it is just because of this the Zazen is so wonderful. If the small self, this foolish self, becomes satisfied or puffed up with arrogance, it is nothing more than the foolish self being satisfied or arrogant. This being satisfied or proud is after all nothing more than a continuation of the thoughts of our foolish self. However, in our Zazen, it is precisely at the point where the small self or foolish self is unsatisfied or completely bewildered that the immeasurable natural life beyond the thoughts of small self is activated. It is precisely at this point where we become completely lost that life operates, and the power of divine is actualized. The aim of doing Zazen is to do Zazen. It's never doing Zazen for some purpose, such as getting some sort of special enlightenment. Doing Zazen is to practice, put into effect, and actualize the awareness of here and now.